With us now is Stephen Razor, one of the lawyers representing Daniel Penny. Thanks so much, Stephen, for being here. Neely's lawyer went on to say at that press conference that your client, Daniel Penny, was the dangerous one on the train that day. What's your reaction?
Well, I mean, the facts don't bear that out. I mean, Danny stepped up and did what he did to no benefit to himself. I mean, he was protecting other people on that train. The threats that were being made were threats where people on that train, not just Danny. I mean, Danny's not working in isolation here. Other witnesses from that car said they feared for their lives. That was a deadly threat that if Danny didn't act exactly when he did, that this individual, Jordan Neely, would have followed through on his threats. Plain and simple. The dangerous one on that train, everybody agrees, was Jordan Neely.
Will the other passengers on the train that day testify in the trial?
We expect them to, and they have been cooperative in the past, and we certainly will be expecting them to appear. Every witness, of course, will have to respond to a subpoena, but we expect that they will cooperate because, quite frankly, the witnesses that came forward were very supportive of Danny. They want to speak. They want to have this story told because Danny's story is not just Danny's. It's everybody on that train, and people on that train want to be heard.
Yeah, can you give me some specifics about what they've told you about their level of fear? I remember actually hearing one of the women on that train saying she has ridden the train for many, many years and she's never felt so afraid in her life.
Right, and you heard those accounts from more than one person. You heard accounts from a woman who is an elderly woman who, as you indicated, been riding the subway for a long time, has never seen anything like that. The type of anger that Mr. Neely was displaying was not simple annoyance or frustration. Somebody actually explained it, and this is one of the riders, not us, as satanic. That's how deep this anger was. That's why they were so fearful of the violence that was going to imminently come from those threats.
This is all happening on a train underground with no means of escape. We saw graphically what can happen just 5 days ago on a subway in rush hour when a mentally disturbed man ranted and threatened another man for some time and then ended up pulling a knife and a gun as terrified passengers squeezed into the far end of the train car trying to get away from the gunfire. The argument prosecutors and Neely's lawyers seems to be making is that passengers have to wait until someone is actually physically attacked before they can defend themselves.
Right. Well, I mean, part of the problem with that case in Brooklyn is that, nobody intervened. I mean, there was one guy that stood up and tried to get in between them, but nobody intervened to get this guy off of the individual that he was attacking. You see, that's a perfect example right there of what happened when good people do nothing. What happens is that this guy ends up pulling out a gun, right? So at the time that Jordan Neely was threatening violence and threatening death, that was a point where nobody on that train knew, did he have a gun in his pocket? Did he have a knife in his pocket? Nobody knew. The threat was there. It was a deadly threat. And all Danny really did is to restrain this guy and keep him from going after his fellow passengers.
Well, unfortunately,
the guy has underlying conditions. He was on K2, and so he's on drugs. There's underlying medical conditions and such, which explain the untimely death. But what doesn't explain it is the actions of Danny.
And bear in mind, Jordan Neely had been arrested before for punching an elderly woman in the face on the subway system, breaking her cheekbone. So he had physically attacked people before that day and was on New York City's watch list for mentally disturbed people.
Yeah, he was right at the top, and that's not the only violent act that he had committed. Another one with the child, kidnapping a child, or at least attempting to. So yes, I mean, and this woman was injured and probably will never be the same after that attack. I mean, look, Danny judged the situation that this guy was not just rambling about wanting food. That's not what this was. This was a dangerous individual that was ready to attack at the very moment that Danny restrained him and kept him from following through on those deadly threats.
Do you think you'll get an acquittal?
I absolutely believe we will. What we have to do right now is make sure that the jury that we have is fair and objective. We have our concerns. Our only concerns, not as to the facts of the case, but as to whether or not Danny's going to get a fair trial. That's our biggest concern right now. And why is that? It's because the way that this county is, it's 90% Democrat, which nobody cares about political affiliation, right? But the reason why that's concerning to us is because nearly every Democrat leader has come out and stressed that they were against Danny's defense.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.